When the first snow falls each year, do you fear the coming of winter? Do you instead spend your time thinking about beaches and sunshine? Well, you're not the only one who wants to move to a warmer state. Zillow did a poll and found that one reason many Americans move is to find better weather. Today we'll talk about the 10 states in the United States where it's hottest to live. And by hottest, I mean that it has great weather all year. 10. Arizona. Did you know that Arizona is the state with the most sunshine? But that's not all. Its center is also the sunniest city in the United States. In fact, Phoenix has 300 sunny days every year. For example, Washington, which is one of the states with the fewest sunny days, only has about 165 sunny days per year. The weather in Arizona is great for more than just the sun. If you like dry heat, this is a good place to be. In cities like Phoenix, nighttime temperatures run from the mid-40s in the winter to just over 100 degrees in the summer. But I will say that Arizona's temperatures have been going up over the past few years, and some estimates say that by 2050, Phoenix may be too hot to live in. So if you're thinking about moving here, you might want to think about that. 9. California. After Alaska and Texas, California is the third largest state in terms of land area. Because of this, its temps are all over the place. In some parts of Southern California, you might wear a t-shirt all year, while in other parts, you might be walking through snow in the winter. But in some places in California, the weather is some of the best in the country. In Southern California, this is especially true. Take San Diego, where the average temperature in the winter is 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the average summer temperature is between the upper 70s and low 80s. That's only about 30 degrees of difference. Some of the sunniest towns in the United States are also in Southern California. Fresno has 267 sunny days each year, while Los Angeles has 275. I will say, though, that even states with good weather have problems, and in California, those problems are wildfires. Some of you might decide to stay away from the Golden State because of this. 8. Texas. A lot of people have moved to Texas in recent years, and while a lot of them are doing it for financial reasons, others are going there to find better weather. Some parts of Texas are too hot and humid, but other parts of the state are pretty cool. Think of mild winters and warm summers, which may be the perfect mix for some of you. In the winter, the north of Texas can get as cold as 20 degrees Fahrenheit, but the south of Texas stays in the 60s and 70s. That does mean, though, that the summers are pretty hot. In southern Texas, especially near the Gulf Coast, it can get pretty muggy, and temperatures can go above 100 degrees. But if it stays in the 60s during the day during the winter, that might not be so bad. 7. Louisiana. People tend to get angry when it's humid. Some people love it and hate dry heat, while others would rather have dry heat than muggy weather any day. If you are in the first group, you might like living in Louisiana. In fact, with an average relative humidity of 74%, Louisiana is the third most muggy state in the country. But humidity doesn't always mean that it will be warm all the time. At 77%, Alaska is the state with the most humidity, and it's not shorts weather there all year. But luckily, it is warm in Louisiana. In the south of the state, temps rarely drop below the low 50s in the winter. And in the summer, the highest temperatures are usually a pleasant 82 degrees. But don't you remember that I said every state with nice weather also has some bad things about it? Well, that's storms in Louisiana. In fact, 21% of storms that hit the U.S. hit Louisiana. This makes Louisiana the third state with the most hurricanes. 6. Hawaii is one of the hottest states in the U.S., which shouldn't come as a surprise. After all, people go to Hawaii because it is always warm there. In this state, you could be on the beach as often in December or January as in July or August. Because get this, the normal temperature in the winter is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. In some places of the country, that's hotter than summer. During the summer, the temperature in Hawaii is about 85 degrees. Another great thing about Hawaii is that the water is warm all year, so you can swim in the ocean whenever you want. For example, the average temperature of the ocean in the summer is a warm 82 degrees, while in the winter it is only 77 degrees. It's no wonder that one of the names for this state is Paradise. 5. South Carolina. South Carolina is one of the states that is growing the fastest. Only Florida and Idaho are growing faster. In fact, it went up 1.7% between 2021 and 2022. And while the lower cost of living and laid-back charm of the South are big pulls, the weather is also a big one. In fact, it went up 1.7% between 2021 and 2022. And while the lower cost of living and laid-back charm of the South are big pulls, the weather is also a big one. South Carolina is a great place to live if you like all 4 seasons, but don't want it to be too hot or too cold. December through February are our coldest months, but compared to other parts of the country, they are still pretty warm. Even though it can get down to 34 degrees Fahrenheit at night, keep in mind that you'll probably be inside during the day. The winters, on the other hand, are much milder and can get up to the mid to high 50s. In the spring and fall, the weather is mild, with temperatures between the mid-40s and upper 60s. In the summer, temperatures can hit 90 degrees or more. Since South Carolina has a coast, you can enjoy beach life all year long. This state has a shoreline of more than 2,800 miles, which means it has miles and miles of white sand beaches. North Carolina, South Carolina's neighbor to the north, also has pretty good weather. Even though it's a little cooler than South Carolina, your wallet might feel a little better. In fact, Charlotte, Raleigh, and Greensboro, all in North Carolina, were named by Property Shark as some of the cheapest places to live in the U.S. with the best weather. In the winter, the usual low temperature in a city like Charlotte is 30 degrees at night and between the mid-40s and 50s during the day. In the summer, it can get as hot as 90 degrees. Oklahoma. You might not think of Oklahoma as a warm state, but it's the 11th warmest in the U.S., with an average temperature of 60 degrees all year long. On average, that's only 1 to 2 degrees cooler than places like South Carolina and California. Even though it can get cold in the north of Oklahoma in the winter, if you live in the south, you can still enjoy pretty warm weather. In Oklahoma City, for example, it can get down to the low 30s at night during the winter, but it can get up to 50 degrees during the day. It's about the same as North Carolina and South Carolina. 2. Georgia. If you like 4 seasons, but don't want them to be too different from each other, Georgia might be a good place for you. Georgia has 4 distinct but mild seasons, which is different from parts of the northern United States, which have freezing cold snowstorms in the winter and stifling heat and humidity in the summer. Just think about the summer. In the Peach State, temperatures range from the 80s to the mid-90s and are warm and humid. When fall comes, you can watch the leaves change color without having to deal with the freezing weather that comes with it in other parts of the country. In fact, Atlanta has temperatures that range from 64 to 80 degrees in September. Like I said, there are 4 seasons in Georgia, so you won't be able to avoid cold if you live here, but you won't be afraid to go outside in the winter either, because temperatures are in the 50s and 60s. Winter doesn't last long, though. By March, it's spring, and temperatures are usually in the mid to high 60s. 1. Florida. Florida is called the Sunshine State for a reason. Even though it doesn't have as many sunny days as Arizona, it still has an average of 230 sunny days across the whole state. Weather changes more in northern Florida than in southern Florida. Average winter temperatures in northern Florida range from 50 to 70 degrees, while summer temperatures range from 90 to over 100 degrees. In contrast, southern Florida has winters in the upper 70s and summers in the mid to upper 80s. That's a difference of less than 15 degrees some years. So most of the time, you can really enjoy the weather here. Because there is one catch. Storms also happen in Florida, just like they do in Louisiana. Florida gets hit by 40% of all storms that hit the U.S., making it the state with the most hurricanes in the country. So you have to give up something to enjoy the rest of Florida's warm days, but you may have decided, like many others, that it's worth it.